Ooh, moonlight. Ooh, moonlight. Can't believe I found you, baby. Come alive. Loving you like we're dancing in moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight. You look so good, it hurts my soul. No, I can't deny the way you pull it. Ooh, moonlight. Ooh, moonlight. Can't believe I found you, baby. Come alive. Loving you like we're dancing in moonlight. Look at what you did, I'm sitting on it. Yeah, I'm all in, I must admit it. Ooh, moonlight. Ooh, moonlight. Can't believe I found you, baby. Come alive. Loving you like we're dancing in moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight. Let me know you're all mine. Touching you, I collide. Into space in your eyes. Touching you feels like ooh, moonlight. Ooh, moonlight. Can't believe I found you, baby. Come alive. Loving you like we're dancing in moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight. Wanna waste our time, wanna waste our time in the moonlight. Wrap me up all night, wrap me up all night in the moonlight.
G'day, guys. Thank you for being here. And this should be a bit of fun, I hope. So g'day to Eel Reerg.
Hey, thank you for having me back. You changed things since the last time I was here. The couch used to be over there, and the fridge was devoid of ham.
Mate, I
I
like
guess you knew I was swinging by.
I did know you're swinging by, and I do like to keep things fresh, so keeps them coming back, mate. No, thank you for coming back on. It was a lot of fun last time, and I know we both love this book. I mean, love is a weird way to describe it because it is fucking awful, but it's that bad that it's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
got the room quality. It's funny bad.
yeah, absolutely. I still haven't seen The Room, but
Oh God.
I've really got to see that. But yeah, it's pretty shit. So what we thought we would do is we would do 1 or 2 chapters a week. We'll probably look to get 2 done today because even though there's only an hour and a half until TLI starts, the chapters are short as anything. So it should surprise no one that Lorne put in absolute minimal effort, even though he had 5 years to fucking write this and do nothing else. So yeah. So any kind of main thoughts on this book before we kind of head in? I guess what do you love about it? Are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I love this book. It's sort of like the chat log in that it's just Lorne running wild with his time and his thoughts and his mind. It's such an interesting like look into what he thinks things are like, and it's so evident he's never been in a real relationship or a real friendship or even has like a tangible connection with his mom that's anything real. Why did you want to go through this, I guess, is what I'd ask you.
Yeah. So look, probably much the same because for me, it's a real insight into Lorne. I mean, Aaron, the main character in this book, is Lorne. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
all these mannerisms, all the delusion that he has, and like, I mean, look, I'm sure most people already know what the book's about and all that kind of stuff. And Andrew and the gang did a far better version of this than we could ever dream of doing. So, you know, don't feel like you're going to get anything better here. But I find it very interesting the insights that Lorne gives up without even realizing into himself. And just whenever I've kind of read through it or listened to it and that, like, I've had so many thoughts, kind of much the same as why I just wanted to start doing Lorne streams in general, because like you end up like shouting at your fucking iPod or whatever about it. So I guess that's probably why. So yeah, I think it should be interesting. And what we've actually done is done a find and replace of all the Aarons and changed them to Lorne, because in my view this is Lorne. So why not just call him Lorne within the book? So I hope that doesn't annoy anyone. So we'll do this kind of every Tuesday until we're through it, and just a bit of play on words there. So we're reading Taken Abroad, but I've just done a little play on words in Taking Abroad. That's probably a really shit joke, but anyway.
Very clever, Cornville. Very clever.
Thank you, and I'll deposit the money into the usual bank account. So let's say g'day to Spencer Silvera and Mandy S, Zachary Stanford, Dr. Cunt, I Am the Senate, Mutang, Rachel D, Vast Ravioli, The Guy, Dark Atheist, Smash Burb, Evil Little McNuggets, Winnie's boyfriend / husband, and thank you to Winnie's boyfriend / husband that did the layout here for this one. Amy A. Ramirez, Brown Eyed Pig Cools, Chatchabate Billy, La Senorita, One of Those Weirdos, Cornville Counsellor, Jason Spears, The Ghost of Tony Farmer, UFO Deaf Cult, Sadface09, Smokey the Cat. Who else we got? I think I said hello to Cornville Counsellor, Jason Spears, Lorenzic Files, Hardcore Poetry, Call Emma. Okay, you're going to make me say hello to all of your accounts. One Lucky Imb of a Guy, The Cornville Nightmare. Oh, really? Jerry Anthony. Shins Koala. G'day, mate. And thank you. We will watch out for clocks. Crotein, Dat Damn Doctor. Rod the Former Virgin. Yeah, cool. I think that's everyone. So I'll get this up now. You were saying you also wanted to read out a funny review for this one. So why don't you do that while
Yes.
I get my shit together?
Absolutely. Cornville, I want this review to be about you and me, okay? So, look at the two of you reading this way.
I love it already.
Lost in the moment of each other's page. So much in love, you're alone with this book. Like there's no other tome in the world. Time changes everything. Books must go on. Books must go on. I won't stand in your way. I read it first. I held it first. A place in my heart will always be there. From the first page I turned when I first read the words, I knew the love of a reader runs deep. I read it first.
That is beautiful. That is.
That pretty much sums up the book, I think. I think that was a really good. It didn't spoil anything, but let you know what this book is about.
Yep. No, absolutely. All right. So let's get into it. So I've got it up on this, the screen there, guys, if you want to read along. So here we go. Taken Abroad, written by Lorne Armstrong, published by BAM Publishing. Copyright 2014 by Lorne Armstrong. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced. Yeah, I'm not reading that shit. Here we go. Overview. Preparing for his life after high school, Lorne enlisted into the army. Anxious. Okay, sorry, I can't believe we're not a sentence in and he has fucking said anxious. Fuck you, Lorne.
It's his favorite word. It's like his calling card.
Anxious to serve his country and fight for what he believed in. After losing his closest friend to a sniper, Lorne lost it while in the field and spent 3 months in a psychiatric ward until being shipped home. And I just love his choice of words. Lost it. I mean, I lose track of the amount of times that I've been reading Stephen King or any of the other great authors, and they
Oh,
the
yeah.
character lost it.
Why give it any more context? I think Lost It really sums up everything you need to know. I'm
No.
not lost at all.
You're right. He's nailed it. And g'day, Constantine and Tracy Hamill and Good and You Lifestyle Guru. Once home, he falls in love with Brooke, a girl that he meets on a blind date. Not long after getting engaged, he begins having nightmares of his time in the Iraqi war, but puts it off as nothing serious. When the nightmares become more intense, Brooke talks to Lorne about seeing a psychiatrist, and because of the deep love that Lorne has for his family, he agrees. Unfortunately, the intense sessions with the psychiatrist don't help, and the nightmares begin to
Oh,
affect
no.
Lorne further. Whatever will he do?
I can't imagine.
And I am actually putting in punctuation as I read because I just can't read this
Yeah, oh,
fucking
yeah.
blanket bullshit. Lorne can no longer fight the right and wrong of the murders he's about to commit. In the end, justice is served with a heartbreaking death that Lorne did not plan on. So that's the book, guys. Thanks very much for coming. We'll see you all next
Yeah.
time because that is pretty
You know
much.
what's funny? The book is not that much more in depth than that. That was like that's pretty much it. You
That
got
is-
as much as you're gonna get out of reading the full length book.
That is literally the book. He is completely told the whole story of the book in the overview. All we're missing is the sex scene and mashed potatoes and ham cubes, basically. Like that is
A creamy center or whatever he says.
yes, and the expelling of dampness, of course. But that is fucking crazy. Like he has just gone. Let's just sum it up, and like it's crazy on two things. Because who would then go and read the book? Like except idiots like us and Andrew and the crew. But like if you picked up a book and you were at the bookstore and you read that, like cool, I've just saved myself some money here because that's everything that happened.
Exactly.
And it also speaks to the volume of this book that 12 chapters are summed up in a paragraph and a half. Anyway,
I think first 4 chapters of this book are just completely superfluous. Like you can just pick it up as soon as he comes home from Iraq. You can take out. There's 3 characters of this story, and 2 of them have nothing to do the entire story. One person doesn't change at all. He's still the same asshole at the beginning or at the end that he is at the beginning. So it's like I don't know.
It's it is kind of like Lorne's life, isn't it? Arsehole at the beginning,
Yeah.
he'll be an arsehole to the end, and everyone else are just bit players in Lorne's little universe. So now I do love the dedication. I must say. This book is
Oh, that's
dedicated
beautiful.
to my brother Michael, who died at birth, and my mother, who has been through more hell than any one person should have to go through in a lifetime and still manages to be as sweet as she can possibly be. Holy fuck. Like, I would die if I read that without stopping. Like, where are the fucking commas, motherfucker? Like, you are trying to kill your readers. Anyway, I'll start that again.
I use punctuation, Cornville. He's got a point and he's going to get to it. No commas.
My bad. This book is dedicated to my brother Michael, who died at birth, and my mother, who has been through more hell than any one person should have to go through in a lifetime and still manages to be as sweet as she can possibly be and still be there for all of her children and grandchildren to help out. This book is also dedicated to all the men and women of our military that has been deployed to war as a whole person and came back lost within themselves. God bless each and every one of you, and may you find your way back to yourself again. That is just that's beautiful.
Oh. I don't know why, but my right hand raised up to my head in a saluting fashion as you read that. The patriotism took me over in the writing right there. Just amazing work.
Just excuse me, guys. I just got to pull myself together. That's beautiful.
It's very touching.
Very, very touching. And as Shin said, it'd be great if he explained the hell his mother went through. But you just have to assume
The hell
that.
you put her through? You
Yeah,
mean? Is
that's
that what you're
right.
talking about?
Exactly. You know, the little shit of a son I'm sure that you were, and then, you know, being outed on national TV as a fucking pedophile. I'm sure her life might have been a little bit better if you remove those two things. And g'day, April the Berserker and Pedro the Great, and Alison Marie Armstrong, and Coach Mike. And yeah, sorry if I miss you guys coming in. I literally can't do more than one thing at once. So reading and following the chat's gonna really fuck me right up. Donation. 50% of all net profits made from the sale of this book will be donated to the Wounded Warrior Project. The author of this book hopes to encourage others to donate to this cause to give back to the United States soldiers what they have given to their country. So 50%
I
of
want to point
zero
out.
is...
No. Not even Cornville three-way. Not even. Net profits. He sunk money into this, so he's $800 in the hole or whatever it costs to get this published. So not only, even if he sold, 3 copies of this book, that's still zero. That's still negative. However much half of 3 copies of this is minus $800 in the hole or whatever it costs to get published. So he actually. Technically, the Wounded Warrior Project still is in the red in terms of him paying them. So that's just how shit he is. Okay, let's be as methodical about fucking with Lorne here as possible. He is still in the red to the Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah, you reckon he sent him an invoice? So guys, we took a bit of a hit on this one.
There's like a tax write-off for
Yeah.
him. Yeah, sure, we'll pay it.
Don't worry about it, guys. And g'day, Turd Ferguson. All right, chapter 1. So I'm going to hand over to you to kick us off.
All right, here we go. Here's the story that's going to change us all. All right, and forgive me, everybody, because this is fucking impossible to read. So, Lorne left his house in Bloomington, Indiana, and drove to school in the 1996 white Ford Taurus his mom bought for him as an early graduation present.
Do you think it
It was
had
a
grey on
cold
the bottom?
December morning. I think so. I'm going to assume it did. Gray on the bottom. Why else make it white? Why
Yeah,
wasn't it in a
exactly.
truck?
Yeah,
So
and
many
that is
questions.
the other thing. The other thing that I just love all the way through this is all the references to his very recent past that you would think would haunt him. I mean, for fuck's sake, one of his friends is Derek in this. I mean, wouldn't that be? I'm surprised there wasn't a fucking Kayla and a fucking massage chair
Yeah.
somewhere. Like,
Brooke was originally Kayla, but he changed it when he was like, "Oh, that's right, I'm in jail for trying to molest a child."
and I'd
He
love
was
it if he
Kayla.
did like a really shit find and replace, and somewhere there's just like a Kayla as his wife.
Who's Kyla, Lorne? Oh. I got it.
Leaving one twit. All right, keep going.
All right. It was a cold December morning, and the roads were slippery from the fresh layer of snow that had fallen the night before. He reached over and pressed the power button on his new Pioneer AM/FM radio CD player that he just had installed professionally at the local garage. Okay, that's going to be on the test. He had it installed professionally. Where did he have it installed professionally, Cornville?
The local garage. but he loves the slash, doesn't he? You know, boyfriend / husband, Pioneer AM / FM radio / CD player.
There's a lot
Scott,
going on there.
a lot going on. Page Master.
Good stuff. Oh, and we can extrapolate some themes here. He went to the local garage, so we know he's a fan of small business, and he's joining the military, so he's right wing.
Yeah.
All right, he flipped through the channels until he found the local country station, so he could hear the weather report for that day
And
before
just
arriving
back
at
on-
the school.
And just back what he was saying, he's a country boy. Country boys, give back to their local, local businesses and that kind of stuff. Like he's a good guy. He's a
Absolutely.
really good guy.
Not a city slicker like those,
No, no.
those woke people. He's
Yeah.
down home country boy. You know what would be great? Why doesn't Aaron have a part-time job? Like, but what does Lauren say? He was out in the woods chucking piles of wood or something. At some point, he's like, "Dan, you were in a factory making pencils or something, while I was
Yeah.
tossing wood."
Yeah.
Give Aaron a part-time job.
That's it. He's a sleepyhead though. Like he's it's hard to
Yeah.
get cold down work when you're a sleepyhead.
Right, we'll get into it later, but I can surmise from this story that Aaron must have some sort of disability, like narcolepsy, where he needs to sleep upwards of 18 hours a day.
He definitely has
And I
some kind of
assume-
disability.
Yeah, well, there may be several, but his need for absurd amount. He's like a cat. He's always fucking sleeping.
He's, like I've heard of people that are biphasal, but like, he's like tri or quadphasal. Like he's just has a
Right,
sleep,
yeah.
does a little bit, sleeps some more, a little bit more. Fucking hell. And g'day.
He must have joined the military.
Yeah.
but-
Sorry. G'day, voice to voice and honest and anyone else that came in there. Gorilla Spawn. Sorry, mate. Back to you.
He smiled when the newscaster's report said that it would be sunny and clear all day.
No.
Lauren knew the army recruiter was scheduled to be at the school that day and didn't want the weather to force him to reschedule. Why would the weather force him to reschedule?
Well, you can't go out in the rain to try to recruit they're very they can't.
Well, it's
risk going out.
December.
Yeah. I mean, there's
December
the same
in
thing.
Maine, so there's snow. So can like the army recruiter not be out in the snow? Is it like a Wicked Witch of the West situation? Army recruiters melt in the snow or something?
Well, it is
Why would the
it's
weather
well
have anything to
known.
do with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's well known that they won't fight in rough conditions.
Right.
You just have a peace treaty for that day. So g'day,
of
Lawrence-
course,
Lawrence
yeah. My
Westella.
bad. I apologize. Ever since the terrorist attack on 9/11, Lauren knew what he wanted to do after graduation. His heart was set on going to Iraq and fighting for the freedom of the United States and the freedom of the Iraqi citizens. So, why?
Because
He never. What? Tell me, enlighten me.
because he's awesome and special.
Oh, he's so fucking awesome and so fucking special. How about never hear about his dad? Why didn't his dad die in 9/11? Maybe like I don't know.
You're thinking about this way more than he did.
I know, but I'm trying to like give the characters some backstory. They're just like, you know what they are? They're like facades. It's like a movie set where it's just like an old west town and there's facades of buildings, but there's nothing behind them.
Yeah.
That's what Aaron is. He's army boy.
Yeah. Well, and it's like everything. It's just surface level cliche bullshit. So rather than really kind of filling out this character, like I mean obviously every person in the world was affected by 9/11 to some extent. Like I mean whether you lost people there or not. But I mean but that's probably not necessarily enough to make you believe this character was like, okay, everything else that I had planned for my life is on the back burner now. So like you say, rather than filling it out by saying he lost someone in 9/11 or that kind of thing, it's just like, well, like everyone, I saw what happened in 9/11 and I'm like, I'm joining the army. Like, I mean, Lord himself didn't do that. So like, why are we to believe that Aaron/Lorne was to do that but there's no substance there. It's the same thing as, the I love you so fucking much, all this kind of stuff. Like he never quantifies why he loves someone or why someone is so special to them. Like, he never quantifies as to what is the reason there. Like, what actions do you show or what qualities do you have besides being awesome and special that makes you mean so much to me. It's just surface level.
And that's an interesting thing to point out. Aaron loves his mom and Brooke Aaron loves his mom and Brooke and their child. And I'm trying to I haven't read this since they did it on Andrew Burkett's channel, which I listened to. But like there's no time in the book, to my recollection, where Aaron does something that shows he loves them. Like he never does anything for them. They do things for him.
Mm.
It's never. He just says, "I love them." Aaron loved his mom so much, but there's never anything tangible.
No.
If you can remember one, I can't.
No, and it's all it's all transactional. Like it's all they do this for me, therefore I love them. So it's either it varies, but it's either this transactional relationship or just that's what kind of movies and other thing have taught him. Like movies have taught him that good boys love their mother. And so which I mean, I'm sure most people love their mother, but he takes everything to the extreme. Like he fucking puts her up on a pedestal, and she's the best fucking woman that's ever lived, and
We're right up there with mom.
yeah, you'll always be number two to mom and all that kind of shit. Like he takes it to the extreme. Like he can't just go, okay, like because I do think in a lot of respects he doesn't have a lot of real feelings and emotions. Like a bit like I'm not saying he's a psychopath, but like a psychopath, like he learns things. Like he sees, okay, that's how people react. So I'll kind of do that, or that's what's acceptable. I'll do
Like
that.
a mimic.
Yeah, like a mimic. But he gets that shit from the Hallmark movies or really cheesy fucking movies. So that's what he takes. Like rather than okay, if you are someone that emotions and that don't come naturally to you, you might look at your friends and that kind of stuff and go, okay, that's how they do it. And I know that some of the more famous psychopaths that have gone on to be serial killers and that, like you kind of hear their stories, and that's like a lot of what they did. Like Ted Bundy did a lot of that, did a lot of kind of mirroring but in that kind of shit. But he gets it off fantasy, so that's why his life is a fantasy.
Yeah,
in my
he
opinion.
himself is like a facade, much like his
Yeah.
characters.
That's
That
it.
kind of explains what's going on here.
Yeah, that's it. And
All right.
and that's a good point about him being a facade and I think that feeds into the delusion that he has that he's a good guy. Like he can completely push to the side all of the honestly horrible and evil deeds he has done and just maintain that he believes he's a good guy, therefore he's a good guy. Like he has no way to reflect back and go, holy shit, like I have done serious damage to both to real people, and also in the context, like when you look at like a Caleb, for instance, what he could have done. He doesn't look at that. He just goes, he believes he's a good old-fashioned country boy, so that is the truth.
Yeah, he was affected by 9/11, so he's a good guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure, okay. Yeah, great. Right. Pulling into the school parking lot, Lauren weaved through a couple rows of cars and trucks that belonged to other students until this is really great. It's really setting the scene. I forgot what it was like to park.
Yeah, that's right. And he's he's in a parking lot, so majority of the cars are stationary, but he's weaving through them. Like, I don't get it.
I just imagine Aaron's like that fucking kid who comes, he's coming into the parking lot. Like, fucking hell, dude. You're the reason that there are cameras in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And g'day, Mistress Joy from Floofington. High stakes games.
Until he finally found a parking space. Gathering up his backpack, he got out of his car and made his way to the school and his homeroom, his mind on meeting with the Army recruiter. Bell rang at 11 o'clock. Lauren had 45 minutes to eat lunch and talk to the Army recruiter. He gathered his books off his desk and walked to his locker. His friend Derek, oh, here we go. His friend Derek was waiting for him when he got there.
Hey, Derek.
Okay, let's just stop right here.
How's Kayla?
Oh, okay. Everything, we haven't even got through a page. Everything in this first page so far is just completely superfluous.
Yep.
This isn't a magical fantasy land where we need to understand that he's driving a car. What's a car? What color was it? He's parking it in a parking lot. What's a parking lot? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. What was
Could have been summed up in a sentence.
What's the brand of his AM/FM/CD player? Like,
And where was it installed?
Well, that was the important thing. Imagine if you read that sentence, he didn't say that. Like, well, fucking hell! Like, where did this thing get installed? How am I to now go install my CD player /FM/radio without knowing where he installed it? He could have put the
Where am
SS
I?
in, to be fair. Like,
Where am I going to get my AM/FM/radio/CD/girlfriend/wife installed? I mean, come on.
but but
Okay,
that is
okay, okay.
exactly right. I mean, that really gives light to how little substance is in this book. Like, we know that there are 12 chapters, sorry, um, and some of the chapters are really fucking short. Like, chapter 2 is
Chapter 2.
really short.
I copied and pasted it into a Google document, and both these chapters combined are less than 7 pages. Chapter 2 in particular, and I double spaced them, everyone. So just, okay. And chapter 2 isn't even a page and a half.
Mm.
A chapter isn't a page and a half. I just like to get everyone aware of what we're working with here.
And if there is so much just crap in there. Like, what we've read so far really could have just been, you know, after 9/11, Lorne was greatly affected. He drove his car and to college and headed for the army recruiter. That's all we've learned so far. Yet we've had 4 paragraphs. But anyway,
This is sort of like if I was a creative writing teacher and I assigned like an assignment that was like, tell me a story, but only use the unimportant details. We don't even know what this guy looks like so far. This is
No.
what I would expect to get. It's talking about AM and FM radio players and is the color of his car. What does he look like?
yeah,
I don't know.
and you know, especially in the opening chapters, like when you first meet a character, you know, you do get all that filling out of them, you know, like you say, what they look like, you know, kind of what's their personality, that kind of thing. I mean, really, the only real description we get of anyone is Brooke being a slight chunky, which is
And the
one of my
overweight,
favorite.
motherly army recruiter receptionist.
Well,
the one
actually,
with the big tits.
that's
We
a
get two
better
people.
point. That's a better point. I think she, like, basically the completely useless character. She was in there for like a minute essentially, just to facilitate him going into the army recruiter. She is probably the most well described person in the book. But Slight Chunky
I think you're right.
is up there with one of my favourite things I've heard Lorne say. And g'day, Kathy Mack.
So excellent. Okay, all right. First line of dialogue. Here we go. You know, I'm expecting some Quentin Tarantino-esque high concept stuff. Lorne, he said as Lorne reached his locker. Hey, Derek. What's
Lorne.
up? Lorne replied. Not much. Just thought I'd see if you wanted to ride to the store with me for lunch. I can't today. The army recruiter is here, and I'm going to talk to him right after I'm done eating. Sorry, maybe tomorrow, though. All right, Derek said as he slapped Lorne on the back. I'll talk to you later, then. I'm not 19. I'm not 18, 19. I'm not a senior in high school. But if any of my friends talk to me like this right now, would you like to go to the store with me for lunch? I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why are you talking like in old English here?
Yeah, like all the conversation is so unnatural, which, you know, and I'll give Lorne the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, I think it's probably so unnatural because he hasn't had a lot of genuine relationships, so he doesn't have a lot of that kind of mannerisms in conversation to pull back on. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, he could have thought, okay, this is how authors write, like, you know, really, but which they don't. But that could have been what he was going for. But I do think it's more to do with he doesn't have a lot of, you know, gravity to pull back on there. And g'day, Donde Lieta. But I do love it. Yeah, I do love that. Like, you know, it's like, hi, would you like to go to the store with me today, Lorne? Like,
yeah, it's pretty clear he's never had a real friend, or he certainly didn't in high school. I wonder what his basketball friends talked to him like in middle school, you know? Lorne, you are quitting the basketball team? Why? This is like Jamie Amy. I think Jamie Amy wrote
it is.
this
It's
part.
very robotic, isn't it? It's like, oh my god, what will we do without you? You are our best point guard.
We need you 5'2" point guard. We need you. Okay. Lorne closed his locker and headed for the cafeteria. He got in line with his tray and grabbed a slice of pizza, 2 cookies, and a can of Pepsi. He sat down at the first table with an empty chair, all the while paying close attention to the clock on the wall next to the door. It's next to the door, Cornville. The clock is next to the door. That's going to be on the test too. All right.
Perfect.
It read 11:10 already. Perfect sentence. It read 11:10 already. He has like run-on sentences and two-word sentences. It's excellent.
That's one of those really common 4-word sentences you see all the time.
He spent the next 5 minutes gobbling down his food and drink and running some questions through his mind that he wanted to ask the recruiter. What rank would I be just starting out?
Oh, sorry, keep going.
He has no idea what the military is. It's 2007, I'm gonna guess. This is set in, or like, early 2007. The internet is very much a thing, Aaron. Okay, come on.
Yeah. But
Would
no,
his pay be?
who would do that? Like, I mean, you don't do that before. I mean, this is essentially a job interview. I mean, you don't do any kind of research about the company you're interviewing for before you go to a job interview. You just rock up in your best pair of jeans and, go in there and say, oh, good on you. And, just let the lawn charm flow.
Well, this is sort of more like the army's got to sell themselves to you. So I get him coming in being an idiot, but these are the stupidest questions.
The army needs to sell itself. Well, Lord, we'd really like to have you on board. Like, well, let's talk about the pay and what other incentives. Will I get a car? I would like to start at Colonel. I think I've earned that.
Right, check out my GPA. You'll see I'm well suited to be leading an infantry in Iraq. I got an A in history, so I'm good to go. What would his pay be? Would he be able to do some type of mechanics work? Would he be able to go to Iraq and fight? How long would it be before he could leave for basic training? So this is interesting. I want to make note of this. He talks about being a mechanic here. He does wind up becoming a mechanic later in the book. Spoiler alert, everybody.
I'm surprised that wasn't
in the points.
In the overview.
He becomes a mechanic, but it's not really part of the story. But so I think in the army he's supposed to be a mechanic, but he's like training police officers and moving munitions from place to place. It has nothing to do with mechanic stuff, but then he comes home and he's a mechanic. So this would be clever foreshadowing. It's not, is what I'm saying.
Because when he was in the Air Force, like, he wasn't a mechanic, but he was like, it was something like that, wasn't he? And he like repairy type shit. Like, I don't actually know, and I'm sure someone in the chat knows if you don't, but like, he was that, like, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't a infantryman or anything in the Air Force.
I would have to assume, like, I would guess if you're going to specialize in something, because he failed some sort of military placement test, and I would guess he'd want to do some like mechanic work or some sort of, hands-on thing where he could repair stuff and not actually have to fight because he's, a coward. And, you get free training for that kind of stuff and what have you. But whatever rank he was, it was like the bare bottom where you have to take this test and then get placed into like this specialty group, I would assume. Again, somebody in the chat probably knows.
Oh, Brown-Eyed says he filled fuel tanks, he thinks. And look, that sounds about right. And I do like this whole thing about, him being a mechanic in this. That is amazing. Like, could you imagine, like, if it was like they'll take off in a vehicle and all of a sudden it would fucking start overheating and they're like, what's going on here? Who put this duct tape here? Why is there a desk fan cooling the motor? What the fuck is going on? Like, I got you covered, boys.
No, Lauren would be, there's a problem in the field. They're like, Lauren, we need you to fix this. And he's like, all right, here's what we do. We get another Humvee out of the exact year.
A perfectly working one.
We just take the motor from that one. Right?
Exactly.
Like, Lauren, what the fuck are you talking about?
And that's exactly what he would do. And that's a good point you make about, that's what he's going in as a mechanic. But he ends up fighting, and like you say, he's training the police. Like, he just thinks it's just like, Lord, you're doing such a great job on these vehicles. We need you to get out there and train these Iraqis. Like, he's just a fucking...
Yeah. He's some sort of like super soldier. He can sleep in. I think he's like the army poster boy. He can sleep in. He's training. He's like the face of the franchise. They're putting him out there on the front lines. He's also repairing the stuff and moving munitions. They want him anytime somebody's like coming by to take a photo. Aaron's got to be out there.
Yeah. Well, to be
He's
fair,
the guy. He's gonna win this war, baby.
yeah, and to be fair, if Justin Timberlake joined the army, he would be the poster boy. You'd have him on everything. Like
Right.
looks like that, and
Exactly.
Lorne looks exactly like him. So how could you pass up that opportunity?
Exactly. Totally makes sense. All right. He finished up eating, brought his tray to the counter, and walked to the study hall where the recruiters were set up and talking to other students that were interested in military careers. I'd like to point out study hall where the recruiters were set up. Used were correctly. Okay.
Wow,
Oh, I know.
he's done it. He's
Great
done it,
work.
everyone.
He really can do it all, everybody. All right. Were tables set up for Army? Another word. That's correct. There were tables set up for Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Aaron made his way through the line of students to the table set up for the Army recruiters and waited in line with 4 students in front of him. There was only 2 Army recruiters, so he knew he weren't going to have much time to talk to the recruiter. Waited patiently as the line in front of slowly disappeared, and he was next to see the recruiter. Okay, about
Holy
50,000
fuck.
recruiters in that sentence.
I don't know if I can hear the word recruiter again. Like,
Me neither.
every
It just turned into white noise as I was reading it.
yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. We've got more details about him lining up to talk to the recruiter than any other thing
Yeah.
far. We don't know what Aaron looks like, why. We got more details about him lining up to talk to the recruiter than we did about why he wanted to join the army.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like so far, the most in-depth aspect of this has been, like you say, lining up, and his fucking lunch. I mean, we got a lot of detail about exactly what he had for lunch, and that is a theme in this. Like food and sex will be described as
If you're horny and hungry, this book is for you.
that is Lorne, isn't it?
Those are his 2 major. Those are Lorne and Aaron's 2 major characteristics: horny and hungry. Aaron kind of reminds me of that one young predator from Hansen versus Predators. What was that guy's name? Showed up in like a duster. He was really young.
From Hansen versus Predator.
Hansen didn't want to. Remember, he was like crying. He's like, "Oh, I failed all my classes. I don't have a job." Remember?
Oh,
I'm forgetting his name. Vincent Ambrosio. He reminds
That's
me of
it.
Vincent
Yeah.
Ambrosio.
Yep. The cowboy dude.
He's like a fucking loser. He's eating, 8,000 calories for lunch.
Yep.
What are you doing? He wants to join the military. Vincent Ambrosio wanted to be a police officer. He's just.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm kind of
there
worried
is.
about Aaron.
Yeah, there is some similarities there. Undertaker. Yeah. See,
Undertaker Predator.
I forgot that was Hansen versus Predator. I thought that was the original one at first, but no, you're right. It is Hansen versus Predator.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr.
The one that he
Cassandra.
held off on
Any
showing.
medium syllables?
When the next student stood up to shake the recruiter's hand and leave, Aaron read the nameplate on the table as he walked towards the recruiter. Sergeant Watkins is what it read in big gold letters with a black background. The recruiter held out his hand to greet Lorne as he approached. Lorne shook the man's hand in envy as he eyed the sergeant's uniform. Spent the next 15 minutes.
No,
15
stop.
minutes.
Stop. Why do we need
Okay.
3 sentences based on handshaking and going up there? Like, why do you need to say that so much? Like, the other student left and shook his hand. He walked forward and put his hand to shake his hand. The recruiter shook his hand. Like, just the previous.
This is a
student
seminal
left.
moment.
Yeah, and the envy. Like, I don't. Like, once again, this is just me. This feels like anxious. Like, that doesn't feel like the right word for that situation. Anyway,
Like aspiration maybe
yeah,
would be better. Like, wow, I can be that. If I pursue this goal of mine, I can one day be like him.
yeah.
All right, Lawrence shook the man's hand in envy as he eyed the sergeant's uniform. He spent the next 15 minutes talking to Sergeant Watkins and getting all that good information he could before accepting the recruiter's business card
Oh
and
my
making an
god.
appointment to meet with him at his office the following week to enlist. Warren left the recruiter's table with a smile on his face and the feeling of more pride in his heart, his country, than he had when he had first sat down to talk to the recruiter. Jesus Christ. You word that any more poorly? That was the fucking amazing, he thought, what 15 minutes of talking about my future in the military could do to my pride.
Due to my pride. I
Like, this is again Lauren's lack of agency. Not that what it did for his pride. He felt more pride because of it did it for his pride. So an outside influence was affecting Lauren here. The fucking pill that paragraph was. Jesus Christ.
And 15 minutes.
At
the same time it
got
takes
nothing.
him to write a poem.
This apparently affected Aaron/Lauren a lot. Wow, amazing, he thought, what 15 minutes of talking about my future in the military could do for my pride. I would really like to know what they said. That would really inform me about the character, and I would get attached, like a story. I don't know if you're familiar.
I have heard about them. But I mean, that's a good point too. Like, I mean, so this obviously had a huge effect on him. Like, he has sat down for 15 minutes, he's gotten up and he's walked away, and it's had a big effect to his pride, and it's made him feel amazing. So what happened there? Like you say, like, what did the recruiter say? Like, he obviously gave a really big pump up speech and sold the military, as recruiters would do. I mean, that's the job of a recruiter, right? But what were some of those things, and what impact did they have on you, Lorne? Like when he talked about I don't know, fighting for your country, being a patriot, and that. How did that make you feel? What emotions did that draw on for you to take that message and be so pumped up and feel so good about yourself and what you're about to do? Like, anything, please. Like.
It's just complete, it's just a facade. He talked to the recruiter. Okay, great. Thanks for telling me this story. This is more like a dictation. Like, then he talked to the recruiter. He's like writing it down for his journal.
Then he walked forward, and then he went to the left and looked up at the clock and noticed the clock said 11:25.
It's like directions. Yeah, you're right. He shook his hand, then he let go of his hand, then he shook his hand again. Then he got some antibacterial wipe and wiped down his hand. Fucking hell. Okay.
He rubbed his
Lauren
hand
spent
through
the
his
next week.
little bit amount of hair.
He already had no hair. The army recruiter didn't like that very much. Lauren spent the next week looking information up on the internet. He has such a strange way of so unnatural. Lauren spent the next week looking information up on the internet about the career fields, medical and dental benefits, and the GI Bill. He talked things over with his mother about signing up for the army so that she would be prepared. She took the news hard, but she knew how much this is what he wanted to do. She had raised him to do what he believed was right, even if it meant sacrifice. But here, it's her sacrifice.
That's right.
He doesn't want him to do that. So,
no.
Okay.
And this is just
she couldn't tell him.
This is just showing how much his mother loves him. Like, it's the same as with, Mama Gwen. Like, it's all he talks about is how much, she loves him and all that kind of stuff, where she fucking doesn't. She can barely stand him. But this is, she couldn't bear the thought of him going away to war and possibly dying, which, to me, I'm sure a lot of mothers and fathers would be like that. But this is just, like you say, it's her sacrifice that she's making. She is going to let it happen for the good of America.
She knows America needs the super soldier, Aaron Johnson, to be over there putting those kids, reassembling the children that are exploded, and fucking doing all the great stuff he's gonna do, moving the munitions from one end of his front yard to the other, and putting tarps over them. The army needs Aaron. I think we can all agree that.
Lorne is the hero America needs.
Exactly. We needed a pedophile, and he came through. Okay.
He really did. He came through in a big way.
He did. Yeah, we fucking love him. She couldn't tell him that she didn't want him to go because it would be contradicting what she had taught him. This should be where the chapter ends. In a good story, you would end on a cliffhanger. Aaron came home, and his mother was sitting at the kitchen table.
Yep.
Aaron, I don't want you to go join the army. Bum, bum. Oh my God, what are they going to say? Or tell us the conversation. I don't know. Maybe this is like, there's no theme in this book. This would be a good time to introduce the theme, like self-sacrifice and service and joining the military. And Aaron can stand up to his mother, someone he loves more than anyone, for his dream. He can say, Mom, I'm going to do this even though you don't want me to do it. But no, she's fine with it. This is, you know what? Another thing, sorry, I'm rambling. But another thing, this is emblematic of everything else in this story. Problem arises, and it's solved in the very next sentence. She didn't want him to join the military.
Yep. But she accepted it. Like you say, I mean,
it's fine now.
That's right. I mean, and this is, as far as this chapter, this is probably the big pivotal point because, and you could flesh this out in a very interesting way. I mean, the only real conversation we've actually heard so far is between him and fucking ex-Derek about, do you want to go to the store with me? No, I can't because I'm seeing the army recruiter maybe tomorrow. Like, that's the only conversation we've had. But this would be the pivotal conversation in the story. Like, I mean, he's come home. His mother is dead against him going, but he has come home so, so filled with pride or whatever, and so dedicated to going to the army that this would have to be a big conversation. This would have to be, Mum, I understand your hesitation. You're worried about me getting hurt. You're worried about me getting killed. I understand that, but this is so important to me. Like, I can't move on unless I do this because, my father was killed in 9/11 or 9/11 had such a big impact on me. I can't move forward without doing this. So they would have a lot of back and forth. And, she would say, well, Lorne, I understand that, but, what if I lose you? I've already had such a terrible life or whatever. I can't lose. It would be all that back and forth, and that would be really interesting. And like you say, you'd probably end the chapter with that on a cliffhanger, and then at some point you would hear the resolution there to, how they made an agreement to, I don't know, whatever. Like, there'd be really interesting stuff in there, but you get nothing. It's like you say, it's basically, Mum, prepare yourself, I'm going, and she doesn't want it to happen, but she accepts it. Like, fuck you, Lord.
It's just immediately resolved. And also, he's wanted to do this since 9/11, which presumably happened 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Why is this taking his mom by surprise? Is she like, wow, I thought that buying my son those G.I. Joe action figures and him always saying he wanted to join the military, I thought he's just joking.
Yeah.
You really want to join the military?
And that's a good point as well, because like he said, 9/11 had such an impact on him. So if it had that kind of impact, you would think this was something he'd be talking to her about all the time. So, but apparently this is a surprise to her.
It was so important to him. Every year he's like, well, a year closer, Ma. I'm almost 18.
Yep.
Or like, how about his dad died in the Iraqi conflict? Maybe after 9/11, his dad was deployed and he died over there. And so his mom's like, I really don't want to lose you too, because I lost my husband. It's been really shitty for me. I don't want you to die over there too. Oh, that would be really impactful. I know, 9/11 is impactful and whatever, but in a story, you need some personal stakes. I don't know.
Yeah, you need to up it a bit, like and that's the thing. Like, when we were talking at the start about how we said 9/11 had this major impact, and I'm sure that I am sure there are some people that saw what happened in 9/11 and they had that patriotism and that did lead them eventually to the army. Like, I'm sure that happened, but we're reading a story here where we need to understand the impact that had on this character. Like, and even if it was just seeing it, like you didn't lose someone there or something, like that would be enough. But we need to hear about that. We need to hear about how the character saw those planes crash in, had the the emotions that came there and how it made him resolute that he was going to go over there, serve his country, do something, not just like saw 9/11, fucking hated it, gonna go to the army, which is essentially what we got.
Yeah, he saw 9/11 on TV. He was like, I'm having none of that. I gotta go over there.
Oh, you stupid
Take
fucks!
care of business. You stupid. Aaron, how could you say that? Mom, they fucking blew up the Twin Towers. Okay, no more. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You cunt-hole
Okay.
bitch.
Tuesday morning, cunt-hole bitch, we're broken. Tuesday morning, Lard woke up, showered, got dressed, and got himself to school. One sentence was like the first 3 paragraphs, but whatever. He spent the day looking anxiously at the clock. This was the day he had been waiting a week for, so he just jumped a week. Sure. His appointment with Sergeant Watkins was at 3.
Nothing happens. He just sat in his room sleeping for a week until it was here.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has to sleep those 22 hours a day, so I guess weeks really fly by for this guy. I could imagine if you're asleep for 22 hours a day, a week is like a day for a normal human being.
Yep.
When the last bell rang for the day, Lorne hurried to his locker to retrieve his jacket and then headed to the Army recruiting office. And past 2 paragraphs, completely superfluous. He pulled into the parking lot and looked at the clock on his car stereo. Just, you know what this is? I just figured this book out.
Yep.
He just writes about this guy whenever he looks at a clock. That's when he decides to pick the story back up. It's just whenever he's looking at a clock. Well, I guess he looks at a clock 2 weeks later. He didn't see a clock for 2 weeks, I guess, this guy.
Yep.
No.
He anxiously looking at it. Anxious, precious.
He's very anxious for that clock to do something.
Are you anxious?
Into the parking lot and... Are you anxious for me to end the war in Iraq, Sergeant Watkins? Yes, Aaron. We're very anxious for that.
Are you anxious for me to do my experimenting on the vehicles over there?
See, I'm thinking we get another Humvee. That's the exact year I'm thinking of. You are not a mechanic, young man.
You're gonna fill them up with unleaded. Oh my god!
You'll be lucky if you're moving. You're gonna handle the Beanie Babies, all right, big guy.
That's not, and that's what. If he was in the army, he would just have to get special in inverted commas jobs just to keep him busy, just like busy work, just to fucking keep him out of trouble. Like, Lorne, it's really important. We need you to sit here and count the Beanie Babies, and then once they're counted, you need to count them again. This is vital to our efforts here in the war. like in the office
okay.
It's like in the office where Pam when Creed's the manager gives him the 2 pictures of corporate needs you to tell the differences between these 2 pictures.
And it's like two pictures of the Twin Towers, and one is like after.
He just does a big circle around the plane.
He's like, I found him.
Keep looking, Lorne. There's more.
There's more. There's 3 more. Oh my god. I feel terrible. I'm such an awful American.
Oh. And should go there saying, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to everything that happened in 9/11. I just Lorne, this is too funny.
Okay. He pulled into the parking lot and looked at the clock again for the 3rd time in 5 minutes on his car stereo. 3:15. You know what? That car stereo is coming in fucking handy here. He's using it to the best.
Thank God he got it installed professionally at the local mechanic.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine he'd be late to this meeting? He would never be able to go to Iraq.
Why didn't I get it installed professionally? Oh,
3:15. I'm 15 minutes early, he said to himself.
He fucking loves
I'll
15
go in
minutes. Everything is 15 minutes with him.
The problem was he got the clock installed, but it only happens in 15-minute increments.
Yeah, it just like the digital clock that sits there at 3, and then all of a sudden it's just 3:15. Like, oh fuck, what happened?
Like, shit, I'm late.
3:30. Oh my
He's standing there
god!
at 3:10. It's 3 o'clock. He's like, oh, I'm early. It clicks.
Yeah,
3:15. Fuck, I'm late.
he can't do, like, 3:10 appointments or whatever. It's like, oh, Lorne, we got your booked in at 3:10. Oh, my fucking word. How am I going to know when that is?
He's like that one predator who's like, nah, it's got to be 3:15.
I don't have one of those
Okay.
fancy clocks that have minutes.
Come on now. I can't. I got it. It was a small time place. I shop locally. I didn't go to one of those big installation places. Come on now. He said to himself, I'll go in and wait in the lobby. I'm sure they won't mind if I'm a little early. They won't give a shit, Aaron. Stepping out of his car, he looked up just in time to see an army Humvee driving by. He stared at the big vehicle in awe. Hopefully soon, I'll be working on vehicles like that one, he muttered into the cold air. Here's the, coming up is the Pulitzer Prize sentence. He turned back around after the vehicle was out of sight, locked his car door, and closed it hard. He closed it hard. Okay, great. The weather today was 22 degrees, and the wind had a sharp bite to it. You know what? I actually noticed something here. So keep in mind, weather today was 22 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say he looked at at some temperature thing. He didn't check his phone, and the weather was 22 degrees. He just said the weather was 22 degrees.
He can just tell. It's one of his many skills.
Right.
It's like licking his finger and holding it up in the air and to tell which way the wind's coming from. And also,
Is that 23? No, 22 degrees.
The 22 and a half. No, 22. And the closing it hard, that's just to show how strong he is. Like, he really slammed that
Right.
door.
He's already been injected with the super soldier serum. He's closing doors. His car's flung across the parking lot.
Hold on, baby, I've got to struggle.
Yeah. I'm closing my car door. It's very difficult for me. He placed his hands in his jacket pockets to protect them from the cold, tilted his head down against the wind, and began walking across the snow-packed parking lot to the recruiting office entrance. When he walked through the door, he left to the left at the secretary behind the desk. Her name tag read Helen in small black letters with a brass-colored background and was pinned to her suit jacket just above her left breast. Okay. Excellent. She was an older woman, probably in her late 40s or 50s, a little on the heavy side, with brown curly hair that came down to her shoulders, and wore wide-rimmed glasses with a gold chain that dangled from the sides of her glasses and wrapped around the back of her neck. Okay, so he knew that it was 22 degrees magically.
Yep.
He does not know the age of the woman. So, is this from Aaron/Lorne's perspective? Is the writer a third person entity who's dictating this to us?
Yep.
If it's Aaron's perspective, he won't know it's 22 degrees. I know this is nitpicking, but it's very important to the legitimacy of the story and whether or not we can trust this author, because I don't think this is actually how these events went down.
No.
Just
reliable
narrator.
Listen to that description. Like, he has described her in such great detail. Like, in comparison to everyone else he describes in this book. Like, but she is a nothing character in this. Like, no offense, Helen. Like, I'm sure you're a lovely, older lady with a mother's air about you. But, like, there is so much detail here. Whereas, all the other main characters, like his wife, we learn, apart from the fact she's a slight chunky, we learn very little about her. But Helen, the receptionist, we get a really good picture of what she's rocking.
You would think, I don't know. I would think if you're going to describe this character really a lot, and this would actually work really well later in the story, should murder her later.
Well, yeah.
He can find a murder victim and he starts murdering her, and she had brown curly hair and she had a mother's heir. She was the heiress of the mother fortune. And she had late 40s, early 50s. And so we as the audience are like, I half remember something like that. Oh my God. And then Aaron realizes it's Helen. Oh my God.
Well, that's right. And because that's what he does. He turns this into Lorne slash Aaron turns into a serial killer essentially, but there's no rhyme or reason in who he kills. Like there's nothing like, and you could have done something like this. Like I mean, because he reckons he loses it or whatever, he carries on about, but it never makes like he just basically says he lost it from the war. So you could have used Helen to because she could have symbolized, especially because he's gone into so much detail.
Gateway into the military.
Yeah, because basically this was him entering the military. So, he could have been tracking down the people that looked like Helen because that in his mind, that's what his fractured mind went back to. This was how I entered the military, and if there wasn't a Helen there, I wouldn't be in the mess I am today. So he goes about
Fucking
tracking,
great.
but no, like he doesn't do anything like that. And as Cybersqueak says in the chat, so what her last name is Helen because your name tag, in a military sense would be your last name. So, but
She's a woman, so she doesn't have a last name yet. 'Cause she's not married.
We don't need to know her last name. She's just Helen.
That's just Helen.
She's just a female.
But like even like piggybacking off of that, you would think would be really what I would do if I was writing a story like this. I would escalate the murders. So like maybe in this first chapter you introduce kind of three important people. Maybe Helen, maybe there's like a teacher who Aaron really doesn't like and who doesn't like him and he might fail this person's class. And so when he comes back, we as the audience don't like the teacher. And he gets into a situation where he murders the teacher. So like we and Aaron, we the audience and Aaron as the guy who's murdering this person, we kind of feel some catharsis, like good, that person had it coming. And then the next person is like maybe Helen. Ooh, I get what he's doing, but he's wrong, but I kind of get it. And then the third one is like he murders his mom. That's what he's setting up in this entire story and doesn't follow through with. I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, and all of that. I mean, and I'm no author, and as far as I know, neither are you. But all of that would have been so much fucking better than what he dished out. And what just gets to me time and time again, and I'll probably say this time and time again as we go through this over the next few weeks, is that he had nothing but time. He was in jail for 5 years. He could have done the minimum research to
Exactly.
and he could have brought this out. I mean, you could have, he like, and it's like everything with law. Like, there's a tiniest bit of like you almost go, okay, good stuff. Like in some ways, I go, okay, you've gone to jail. Writing a book is kind of doing something productive with your time, making the best of a bad situation. You could probably improve yourself there. Like, if you really put effort into this, maybe increase your chances to get something outside of not as an author, but obviously his English is going to improve if he's doing that. But he just did the minimum effort. He's just going to go, I'm going to write a book because that will make me a good boy, and mummy will say, well done, Lorne, for spending your time in jail wisely. But he put the
I don't even think it's
amount
that.
of effort into it.
I think he thought, like, I think he published this. Like, he could just have his mom read it, and she'd go, "Wow, nice work. Way to not sit on your ass in your chair all the time in prison." But he published it. Like,
Yeah,
and I honestly
true.
think he like got books out of the library and like read a chapter of one and went, I'll just write that. And so I think this is like him kind of, it's like, when you have to write something in your own words when you're in school. And this is just someone else's chapter, but none of the context of what's going on and simplified down by 90%. I honestly don't even think that any of this is from like his own mind.
No,
And,
I
the stupidity of
agree.
it, the distortion.
I agree. And Elsa Marie Armstrong says this really isn't a murder mystery book, right? Well, it's not much of a mystery, but it does. He wanted it to be a murder mystery / thriller, and it does turn into that. But there's not much mystery going on. But there's definitely murder.
It really should have picked up when he gets home from Iraq. And
Yeah.
then he like has blackout spells and there's murders going on around town. And he's like, oh God, is that me? And we get flashbacks to his time in Iraq. And so we're confused and he's confused. And the theme of the story is it would mesh a lot better. But he has to go to school and cookies and drink Pepsi. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Well, that's right. And see, that's my issue with it. Like if you he writes it like it's a full novel, but the whole balance is out of proportion. Like, if you wanted to give, go on about fucking cookies and bullshit and, there was no real need for the explanation that he goes on to the time of the war, because really all you draw from that character is what he saw over there fucked him right up, That's basically
Read
it.
up.
But if you're going to go into this much detail with all this bullshit, the book needs to be a lot longer, because the core part of this book is the trauma that, like, he had a traumatic experience that caused him to, I guess, have PTSD. He doesn't really go into it because, details like that aren't important. And that led him to become a murderer centrally. So you need to understand why that happened. You need to understand, like you say, you need to fill that out. The whole transformation from normal good guy Lorne / Aaron into this cold-blooded murderer. You need to understand how that happens, and it needs to happen over time. And like you say, you could have done really great stuff about, he's waking up and he's got blood all over him and he can't understand how this happened and this kind of stuff, because he wanted it to be, he didn't want it to be a story about, he was just a cold-blooded born psychopath who murders people. He wanted to be about, I was this great innocent guy, and the war happened to me and it turned me into this, which I really think is Lorne's way of trying to explain to himself and to others about what happened. Like, this really is, I was a great guy, I had all this going for me, and then fucking NBC came along and dangled that 13-year-old girl in front of me, and now my life is fucked. But feel sorry for me because this happened to me. I didn't do it. This happened to me, so feel bad for me. Like, that is essentially what he's doing in this story, but he doesn't actually flesh it out in any respect.
Yeah, or don't do any of that. Or just write about and getting married and going on a bullshit honeymoon and fucking your wife in her creamy center. Just write about that. Just write about what you want to write about, dude, and don't try and inject some sort of plot into it. Just live out your fantasy. It's a little power fantasy that you write down while you're in prison to pass the time, and then take it when you get out, put it in the trash can. That's it. All that this should have ever been.
But at the same
To make
time,
money.
thanks very much for publishing it, Lorne.
Yeah, right.
This is like,
really
you
great
should have dumped this in the trash, but I'm glad you didn't. Trashed her.
Okay, all right. Let's get back into
it.
May I help you? She asked. Hi, I have an appointment with Sergeant Watkins at 3:30. He replied. And what is your name? I touched her as she opened a large black book that read "Appointment Book" on the cover and answered. So they're not. The computers are down today.
I really should have done a
Lord
find and replace
Johnson.
on Johnson and Armstrong as well. I'm going to fix that up for next time. Lorne Armstrong.
She licked her thumb and flipped. Lauren Armstrong, you're right. Didn't I see you on NBC? She licked her thumb and flipped the pages to the correct day and looked at 3:30. You are? There you are, right there, she said as she looked up and smiled at him. Have a seat in one of those chairs right there, and I'll let Sergeant Watkins know that you're here. And turned around after thanking Helen and found a seat next to some army brochures. He picked one up and began looking at it while Helen let Sergeant Watkins know that his 3:30 appointment was there. Johnson? Lauren looked up in surprise. He hadn't heard Sergeant Watkins approach him because he had been engrossed in the pamphlet that he was holding in his hand. He folded the pamphlet back up, set it back in its place, and stood to shake Sergeant Watkins' hand. Okay, so they've shook hands about 80 times.
Fucking hell. I hope you brought hand sanitizer.
Jesus, I mean, even before coronavirus, like, dude, come on.
That's it.
Stop fondling his hand. How much research does he need to do? He's known for 6 years that he wanted to join the military. So presumably he's looked it up. He spent a week looking it up on the internet. Now he's so engrossed in this brochure. It's like he doesn't retain information.
No.
Oh, shit. That's what the army is? Okay. All right. I'm in.
Oh, wow.
How are you doing today, Sergeant? I have to fight? What? Okay. How are you doing today? Sergeant Watkins asked him. Hi, sir, Lauren replied. How are you?
Not a
I'm
whole
doing
lot.
great, thank you. No whole lot. What brought you here today? Well, no whole lot. I'm doing great, thank you. I see you're ready to sign up today, huh? Yes, I am, Lord replied. Well, follow me and we'll begin the paperwork. You know what I think is interesting? There's like a cliche, or maybe not a cliche, like a trope in storytelling where early on in the story, the hero or the main character do something. It's called a save the cat moment, and we're almost done with chapter one. In a save the cat moment, your main character will do something for someone who can't repay them, and no one else sees. So you, as the audience, know person is virtuous, and you should be on their side.
Yep.
Save a cat.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing here. Why
No.
do I like Aaron? I like Lorne. I don't know. He's just the main character, so you're supposed to like him.
Yes, that's a
No.
very good point.
There. It's just such. I don't know. It's unbelievable how devoid of content this book really is.
Yeah, and see, if Lorne was explaining that to him, like say Lorne signed up for a writing class, right? And you know the teacher explained that to him. Look, you know your character, like you say, needs that save the cat moment, that kind of thing. He would think he's already got that covered with the, you know, seeing the army, seeing 9/11 and wanting to join the army, like that. He would view that as, well, you know, that's the virtuous thing. But like you say, it's got to be something that not. And once again, like everything with Lorne, he just thinks the thought of things. If you want to do that, then that's a good thing. But he hasn't actually done anything yet to establish why you know, Aaron's a good guy. But I think Lorne would view that as, hey, what more do you want, for fuck's sake? Like,
I saw 9/11. I'm a hero. What do you want from me?
Smokey the cat says, Lorne isn't saving any cats. Take it from me.
R.I.P. Smokey. Oh, I'm so sorry about what happened to you. I hope his new cat is doing better.
Me too.
Okay. Lorne did as Sergeant Watkins directed and fell in behind him. As he entered the office, he looked around at all the certificates on the wall. The Lorne held for the sergeant began to grow to a minor case of idolism. Wow, great. Great line right there, Lorne. Top tier. Not cringeworthy at all. Okay, he sat down in the chair in front of Sergeant Watkins and shook his hand again. Sergeant Watkins' big desk and watched as the sergeant put together a new folder with Lorne's name on it. 5:30. Okay. He's had 2 meetings with Sergeant Watkins.
Yep.
Nothing. No information. No dialogue. 2 meetings. It's been 2 hours and 45 minutes. Talk to him. Got nothing.
Nothing.
Like, get some dialogue here. I don't need. Who's Derek? Why was there a line with Derek? Why was there anything with Derek?
It was just fresh on his mind.
You're right. Yeah, fucking Derek. I'm gonna show him in my first chapter. I'm gonna have him be friends with my main character. That'll
Yeah, that's
show
right.
him.
He's gonna
Or
be my
Kayla.
friend in here. And you know, because
the worst
friends
punishment
don't have sex
imaginable
with
being
their
being friends.
because friends don't have sex with their, you know, their friends' girlfriends. So now he can't have sex with
trusted you.
Kayla.
But yeah, checkmate, baby. Lorne, he's playing that 4th dimensional chess.
Yeah. He's way ahead of all of us.
Watkins had all of Lorne's enlistment forms filled out and had him set up for an appointment for a physical. I don't think he's going to pass that physical. If his lunch was any indication.
And why doesn't he have to fill out his own fucking enlistment forms? Like that's just what the, you know.
He's Captain America.
Sergeant Watkins doesn't have better shit to do. He's just filling out everyone's forms for them. Or no, it's probably just for Lorne. It's like, oh, you know, usual plebs will fill these out, but Lorne has much more important things to do. Here you go.
Shook my hand 45 times.
Here you go, sir. Here's your enlistment forms. What else can I get you? Can I get you a coffee? Yes, make it weak.
All right.
Okay, no worries.
You know what? Here's your desk. Make it weak. Okay. Lorne left the recruiter's office pleased with what Sergeant Watkins had done for him. 1 month, he would be on his way to getting his physical and being sworn into the United States Army. A smile spread across his face as he opened the car door and climbed inside. In just a few short months, he would be on his way to basic training. After talking more with his mother that night, Lorne went to sleep dreaming of his future in the United States military.
And that's chapter 1, guys. So we've got about
What a-
10 minutes to go. I reckon we can knock through chapter 2, because there's no point dedicating a whole stream to chapter 2 because it's short as shit. So, chapter 2. Lorne suddenly found himself at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. He looked around at the many other young men and women that, like himself, wanted to fight for their country. From the moment he got off the plane, he was to follow every order given to him. He was surprised to see that they had not waited until the following day to start demanding orders. So he just thought, in the army, you get the first day to get acquainted, but it's the second day they're really going to start demanding orders. But you just get there, you have a bit of a play around, you have a bit of a sleep.
Swing set.
He was
Well,
swing
in his
set.
defense, the sergeant was babying him. He was like, "I'll fill out your paperwork. You just sit there. We'll get you some coffee. You just take it easy, Lorne." Like, I get it. I understand why he was confused that there was work to do.
He rocks up. He's like, "Well, isn't this fucking cunning? Fuck it, demanding orders straight away." He quickly realised that his life was no longer his own, and he had rules that he had to follow that were made by other people. It's all worth it.
Those are what rules are. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because he didn't have any rules before this in life. He just did whatever he wanted, but now he's got to follow some rules. It's all worth it, he spoke softly to himself. So he's not even thinking this. He is saying this out loud. Like he just.
See, I told you, Vincent Ambrosio type.
Yeah, he's just said there's all these other people around, and he's sitting there going, "It's all worth it. This is my dream, and it's what I've wanted for a long time, even if I don't like being told what to do." And all these other people like, "The fuck, man? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" and
Imagine being on the bus with this guy. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Why are you muttering to yourself constantly?
Yeah, like, and it's interesting, that he talks a lot about how he doesn't like following rules. Like, that's a insight into Lorne in itself. After a couple of weeks of day in and day out routine things, okay, sorry, that doesn't make sense because there's no comma. After a couple of weeks of day in and day out routine, things became much easier for him. Even taking orders and following them had become a thoughtless action. It seemed like time had flown by when finally his 9 weeks of basic training had ended and he was already in his 5th week of technical training school. "I can't believe this time has gone by so quickly," Lorne said to his mother, who was on the other end of the phone. "Only another 6 weeks of tech
What
school."
phone? What are you talking about? I have no idea what's going on. I'm so lost. He just arrived at basic training.
Just a phone just appears out of nowhere. "Only another 6 weeks of tech school, then I graduate and I can come home for 2 weeks." "I'll be happy to see you again. I've missed you," he heard his mother begin to cry as she said the last 3 words. "Mum, I know this is hard, but I have to tell you that after I come home for 2 weeks, I leave to go to Fort Dix, New Jersey for 2.5 months of training to go to Iraq." He waited a few long seconds for his mother to absorb the news. "Are you alright, Mum?" he asked. "I'm fine, son. I had a feeling that you were going to go over there from the beginning, so I've been preparing myself for it." What the fuck did she think? Did he think that she thought he was doing all this training for? Like,
He has no idea what the military is, so his mother must be even more in the dark. He's flipping through pamphlets the day before he signs up. Like, I mean, she's got no idea.
you just go for training camp, then they go, "Righto, guys, back out into society. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed it."
Right.
Fucking hell. "This is what I've wanted to do, Mum, and it makes me happy," he said to reassure his mother. "I know. I want you to know that I'm very proud of you." The words she said to him sank deep inside and brought a
To
smile
his
to
creamy
his face.
center.
She stuck it in him. "I have to go now, Mum.
Jeez.
I'll see you in 6 weeks. I love you." "I love you too, son. Goodbye." And he would have like she never says "I love you" back. So I reckon he just wrote that in and he read that over and over and over, pretending it was actually Mum.
Can you read this chapter back to me? I want to know what it sounds like from another person's
and,
perspective.
and she'd
I
read it
love
back.
you too. I'm not saying that, Lauren.
Okay, Lauren, I'll read it back. I have to go, Mum. I'll see you in 6 weeks. I love you. Goodbye. She'd just leave it out. Lorne hung the phone up and stood motionless as he thought about the words his mother had said to him as they
Wait.
penetrated. You go.
Wait. I want another line in between here where Lauren goes, Mom, why are all the other kids calling it fat camp? Evan, I told you to stop eating those cookies at lunch.
Lorne hung the phone
Back
up.
to his mother penetrating him deep.
Yeah, let's get back to the deep penetration, shall we? Lorne hung the phone up and stood motionless as he thought about the words his mother had said to him as they penetrated deep. I'm proud of you. Her voice saying those words echoed in his head. He smiled at the phone and turned and walked away, just looking at the phone, smiling. Fort Dix New... Okay, so we're straight to Fort Dix. We don't talk about...
I've looked at a clock since he was talking to his mother.
We don't look at the rest of basic training. We also don't know anything about the 2 weeks that he went home. He's straight to Fort Dix. And that also isn't a new chapter. So all of this stuff's happened. Like, if you're going to just erase all that, this should have been the end of chapter 2. And I realise you would have looked at it and gone, holy fuck, that's about 60 words. That can't be a chapter. But to be fair, the actual chapter's probably about 100, so it wouldn't have made that much fucking difference. Anyway.
Moreover, there's characters that are integral to the plot. Paul Pablo, among others.
Yes.
Hey, wouldn't it have been great if we were introduced to him during their fucking training instead of introduced to him minutes before he fucking dies? What if he and Paul Pablo don't really like each other here, but, they grow and have a friendship, and maybe the guy in charge of them is like, Aaron, you're the slowest one, but he's got to prove himself. It's like that scene in Mulan where, like, she's the worst, but she works really hard, and so we like her. It's just...
Yes.
But anything would be better than this. I'm sorry if I keep suggesting obvious shit, but it's like... fucking there.
No, 100%. And they see that's the thing, too. Like, him and Paul had such an intense friendship. Like, wouldn't it make sense that they met at basic training? So, because basically they meet and they're instant fucking BFFs. So, wouldn't it make sense that they had met at basic training? And like you say, they went through these different things that kind of built that relationship. But it's just Lorne just thinks you meet someone and like, hey, we're best buds. Like, let's fucking sleep together and I'll let you sleep in because you're a fucking tenderhead and all that kind of bullshit. Like, it's just so basic.
Basic training is supposed to be about team building.
But you don't hear about any of that.
It's either a setup or a payoff in here. It's you can't have both, I guess.
No,
you can't introduce us to the character and kill them off.
That's right. And see, that's the other thing too. Like, you should be building all this up. And, there's lots of people at basic training. These are the same people that are going to be over there with you. So introduce other characters. So, when you're fighting, you talk about, Sergeant fucking whatever did this and that kind of stuff so you know who they are. But he doesn't do any of that because he's too lazy. Fort Dix, New Jersey was an exciting place for Lorne as he learned many ins and outs of what would take place in Iraq. It could only partially prepare him for the real thing, and he realised this from the beginning. He had a good visit when he went home. Oh, sorry, we hear about it now. For 2 weeks, but knew he made the right decision by joining the army when he seen some... Holy fuck, sorry. Right decision by joining the army when he had seen some of his friends still hanging around home and working at dead-end jobs, going nowhere in their lives. It made him feel good, knowing that what he was doing was important to many lives. Now he had to...
Made me feel good. My niece asked me.
Yeah, it made me feel good.
Sorry.
No, you're exactly right. And see, I love all these throwbacks to his fucking chat log and that kind of bullshit, because this is the same guy. He only knows
like 14 words.
Yeah, that's right. Now he had to finish his training at Fort Dix so that he could move on to Kuwait and then Iraq, where he will be fighting for what he believes in. End of chapter. So
Great chapter.
that was already it's an absolute clusterfuck, but I love it. Yeah, so we'll kind of wrap it up there. Is there any kind of thoughts on these two chapters you had before we end it for this week?
Well, they're horse shit, but
Yes, yeah,
it's terrible. Yeah, but I love it. It's one of those things.
yeah, fantastic. So I I've really enjoyed this, and I think it's going to be better and better each week. So I'm glad we're doing this. So thank you for doing this with me, and thank you everyone that has been in the chat and hopefully enjoying it with us.
Yeah,
So
thank you for having me again. I look forward
ah,
to next week.
nah, mate, anytime. So yeah, so we'll try to. I mean, obviously things come up, but we'll try to do this every Tuesday, and yeah, so I will see you all guys around. I think the next time I'll be streaming will be on Thursday, so I hope to see you all there then. And yeah, don't forget to delete your archives.